Hello world, you're watching 80s Music Twin Ranked. I'm Joel.
I'm Chris.
And we're not dead yet.
We are doing James Paul, Sir, because he's a knight.
That's right.
A knight. Sir, we did Elton John, but we didn't call him Sir.
No.
Wasn't he knighted too?
Well, we're not British, so we don't
recognize Sir Paul McCartney, but his first name is actually James.
So, when you get knighted, do you get your own sword?
Yeah, sword, so. Hey, remember when Paul McCartney was in the Beatles? That was awesome.
Did he do that?
What? Chris Farley show on SNL. He had Paul McCartney as a guest.
All right.
He asked him in the skit. He goes, "Did you see the Terminator?" And Paul McCartney says, "No, I missed that one." I'm like, and they asked him at the end, you got to see it. It's pretty good. Well, I'm like,
I like this.
Seen it. You know he's seen it.
His interviews are funny because he's always nervous.
Stupid.
All right, so we're doing Paul McCartney, who is Sir Paul McCartney. Who cares? And he is still alive. He's Joe Biden's age, 80.
He's still putting out albums, even, or he's doing concerts. He's a 3-hour-long concert.
So we did Madonna, and we're like, we agree she needs to retire. Shouldn't he retire by now? I mean, he started way before she did.
Over half of Congress should retire. Here's why. Hear me out. This is Paul McCartney from our concert. If you're a certain age where the laws you're putting in effect, you're going to be gone, they're not going to affect you, maybe you shouldn't be in Congress.
Supposedly the older ones are wiser. But
I'm just saying, you should only be in Congress if, when you put a law in effect, then it affects your life for the next 20 years.
I understand. But why old people are supposed to be wise, and right now we got a bunch of idiots running our country. So, anyways, back to Paul McCartney, because we're all about music. And yes, he did put out some good songs during the 80s. But by and large, solo-wise, it's the 70s.
Because he had a band called The Wings.
The Wings.
Which is a part of a Beatle. Maybe some Beatles do have wings.
That's right. Is that why he named him?
No, I'm sure it's not.
And there weren't really that many members that were specifically the Wings.
No, they had two specifically called Denny. Two Denny's.
Denny
Sewell
was the drummer, and was it Lane, Liaine? Okay, and he looked in that one video for With a Little Luck. He looked like John Lennon.
Okay.
So, anyways, and Linda McCartney, he was already married to her right before they formed, I think. Linda Eastman, they probably married when they were Beatles. But he is alive.
And there was a rumor he died and got replaced by a lookalike. Pretty much during transition from the Beatles to his solo career.
Because he was like in a hibernation.
And they're saying that I remember in the 90s hearing about it, and now you can read all the clues, like the album covers. They would have like Abbey Road. One's in black, one's in white. Just like supposed to be a minister. The Undertaker. Paul McCartney's not wearing shoes, which is a corpse.
Oh yeah,
stuff like that.
I think there was a phrase. My death was
highly exaggerated.
Exaggerated, right? I think that's...
Chris Farley brings that up in the skit. Said that was a hoax. Remember that? It was a hoax. When he said hoax, was weird. He's like, he goes, I'm still alive. Duh, he's right there.
Now, we always have these hoaxes.
Yeah.
This person died.
Oh yeah.
And they're not dead.
Now, in fact, that's an actual trend on TikTok. There are videos where people will prank their siblings.
Just to get their reaction. Yeah. This person, they like him.
Yeah, they're like, no!
But, so he is alive. We have to keep saying that. Watch, we're going to go home and find out Paul McCartney died.
Paul McCartney's hoax is that people were saying he's dead when he's still alive. Elvis Presley, we did a couple of videos again. His hoax was that they say he died, but they say he's still alive. It's the opposite.
It's the opposite, right? Now, it's because this is interesting that he, because of this hibernation, basically, he was blamed for the Beatles breakup.
Yeah,
But
when I growing up, we heard it was Yoko Ono's fault.
right, yeah, she broke up and that may have been actually because I heard that I read John Lennon wanted to leave the Beatles, but he didn't want it made public.
The fact that blew me away is that when the Beatles broke up, Paul McCartney was only 27 years old. I'm like, wow. It's amazing how young they were when the Beatles stopped.
Why? Yeah, you can't retire. You're not allowed to retire from the Beatles. Like, if it's your personal decision, you can't do it because it affects all the fans.
Yeah.
What about them?
Well, that's why they were saying they replaced it with look like they thought the fans couldn't handle it or something.
Oh, okay.
So they got to look like
It's like El Cid.
teach him how to talk like it was.
The movie El Cid where he was dead, but they put him on the horse and rode him out there just to the end.
Well, they were done doing live performance anyways. But,
Yeah. I mean, the Beatles they were still. I guess they were still. Popular.
They had some albums. In fact, Paul McCartney put his first album that was competing with
Let It Be. You're right.
Let
you're
It
right.
Be. It had number one
McCartney
for 3 weeks,
McCartney
and
was
then
number
Let
one.
It Be overtook it.
Correct. Yes.
Maybe I'm amazed.
And he was still on it. Paul McCartney was on that album.
So he had
himself.
He had 3 albums where he called Paul McCartney 1, Paul McCartney 2, Paul McCartney.
And they were decades apart.
Yeah,
from each.
but after the first one, then they formed the Wings, and he was in that for the '70s. Then he broke up again to I think number 2.
Yeah. And which album of Paul McCartney's would you buy?
The greatest hits. I have the greatest hits. I have his
You
greatest
have it,
hits.
really?
I have good. And you know which one's not on it?
No.
Maybe I'm Amazed.
Well,
Which
you know
was
what?
his first hit. He was by himself.
That was by himself. Was it released? I don't think it was released originally.
Maybe that's why it wasn't on there.
It came
but
out.
I hear it all the time.
I know, but it came out on his live album, and that's when it got up to the number 10 spot.
Yeah.
And that's why we know it now. But that was
But I think that's the one that competed with Let It Be. I think that's what made it to number
that
1.
album. Well, the
No,
album.
that song. I think that's the one that went to number 1 before Let It Be overtook it.
No.
No, was it? Really?
Okay, so he had by himself he had 4 number 1 hits, and with the Wings he had 5 number 1 hits.
Yeah, so I had a lot of number
The
1.
very first number 1 of his was Uncle Albert /
Maybe that might be the one that went to.
Halsey. And that I'm listening to that going, how is that a number 1? I mean, even
I like that one.
well, I like the transition in it, but it's so slow to start.
It starts with I'm
And
so
they're
sorry. We're so
talking.
sorry.
I'm
He
sorry.
talks about a butter pie.
I'm sorry, but that is not a
He
good
talks
song.
about a butter pie.
And I think it's
later.
got 3 different sections. I
I
know. Is that a French
I
one?
don't know what that is, but yeah, I like it because it's different.
Okay, it is different. All the way up to number 1, though. Which,
Okay, so relating to last week,
okay.
last week we did David Crosby. So
Right.
the way we're going to integrate him is 2 things that I could think of. I don't know if you thought of any more. And we told you last week he did Drive My Car.
Yes.
And Paul McCartney was in the Beatles, and they had Drive My Car on the White Album, I believe it was.
Yes.
Second thing is, we told you about the two of them dating Rita Coolidge, who did All Time High.
Yes.
James Bond film.
Okay.
Paul McCartney, of course, did a James Bond film.
Correct.
He's also, I didn't know if you read this also, that Paul McCartney is a vegetarian.
I did read that.
Yeah.
I read several things about him.
I like eating chicken and hamburgers and all that. So my motto is, live and let die.
You know, after 9/11, that song was labeled inappropriate title.
Okay. Did you see the
Entire list?
I know. I don't know if you know this about Paul McCartney and 911, which is on several other videos.
Okay, no.
He was on the tarmac. He was in a plane, and he looked out a window. This is what I read. Some say it was in the waiting room.
Which
but
tarmac?
Kennedy Airport.
Oh, okay.
And he saw the plane hit the building. He thought it was an optical illusion, and so the news starts reporting it.
Okay.
Yeah, so, he was at the JFK Airport when...
Does he live in America? Not.
He was just ending his tour.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So he may have been on a plane to leave the country, maybe? I don't know. Which, I wonder if he did, because I know they grounded planes after that for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I don't know. I can't remember how long it was.
It was a while.
Yeah. So there's no flights.
No jets in the sky.
He has a song called Jet with the Wings.
So let's there again. Which album would you buy? Not a greatest hits.
Give my regards to Broad Shooting.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know any of this. I know. I went through the albums, but I couldn't tell you what the titles are.
You know what? Every album he put out, maybe 1 or 2 songs were put out on.
Yeah,
he even had a couple of his number ones are obscure and we've never heard him. It's like, how's that number 1? I don't know what it is.
I would buy a Beatles album before I bought any of his, because I know some of those titles.
Yeah.
So,
but of theirs, I would buy Band on the Runs.
Yeah. Okay.
For this reason.
That's
aside from it has 2 good songs on it, right?
Yeah.
Band on the Run, and
that is probably one.
What's the other one? Jet, I think, might be the other one.
Could be.
Okay, and I would get it for the cover of the album, though. Because you see that they look like they're prisoners escaping. You got the big spotlight on them.
Yeah.
And amongst the people in that photo, James Coburn, who's the tallest guy, and right next to him is Christopher Lee. So he had a couple of these British. And the other people apparently are famous, too, but in different things. They're not actors. So I would get it just for the cover. It does look like a cool
one of the best videos to watch on YouTube of his. You said you watched his videos.
I did. I watched all of them.
One of the best things to watch of Paul McCartney on YouTube right now is James Corden's Carpool Karaoke with him.
With Paul McCartney?
It's longer than a normal that he does with people. And
what do they sing? They don't sing his song, right? They
but
something else.
Yeah, they sing. Well, they don't just sing in the car. With him, they go to certain locations. He goes to the flat they grew up in.
Okay.
They go to Penny Lane. He actually signs the thing there. He goes, and he's like, people will see my signature, go, that ain't him. Well, he's got it on video that he's signing it. So then they go to one of the pubs, and there's a jukebox with songs of his.
Okay.
And people would put money in there, pick a Paul McCartney song. Instead of playing on a jukebox, the curtain opened up, and Paul McCartney was back there with his band, and he would play the song
they picked.
Yeah, and he did that. Then they opened it up to request, and they played for a long. Okay, it's all on the James Corden. It was like a 20 to 30 minutes long. It's pretty good. It's probably Paul McCartney, James Corden's best carpool karaoke.
Yeah. Does he still do that?
What
is his show even still?
He's ending this year.
That's right. I did hear that. Yeah. So
because he's occasionally still because he yelled at some restaurant owner and just had a lot of backlash, and so I guess that made him.
You're canceled.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Even though he apologized.
Since we're talking about videos, he appeared in a video that was not his own. Did you know that? It's uncredited, and I stopped it, and it looks like Ringo Starr's in that video too.
Okay.
Billy Joel's "A Matter of Trust." And they start playing the song 1, 2, and they're like, it's too hot in here. Open the doors and windows.
Okay.
And so the camera's just showing everybody outside.
Yeah.
Some people having a good time. Some people hating the song, saying shut up. They show out the window and they show this guy holding a suitcase here and standing up against the wall, and you can clearly stop it. And yes, that's Paul McCartney.
Okay.
And it looks like Ringo Starr was previously in it too. It like goes by like that. You have to pretty much stop it to know.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yes. So I'm guessing Billy Joel's not British.
No, he's not.
And they never did anything together. Now, he did do duets.
Yeah.
Well, waited until the 80s.
He did 2 songs with Michael Jackson's, which we said Michael Jackson video we made.
Right.
Say, 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 but before that was The Girl's Mine on his Thriller album.
Yeah.
I think before those two was Stevie Wonder first with
Stevie Wonder
Ebony
was first.
and Ivory, of course. When you look at
1982. He has two albums,
when you
two
look at a
songs.
piano, Ebony, there's black keys and white keys. And, supposedly the white keys are made of ivory, which is tusks from elephants, right?
But
Maybe they used to
The
be. I don't
other
know if
keys
they-
aren't made of ebony.
Well,
They're
but their ebony is another word for black.
Right. There's actually a magazine for black people called Ebony.
Yeah, and when they sing the song, Ebony and Ivory, we're living in harmony. It's talking about the races being, living together peacefully.
So,
SNL, Saturday Night Live, did a skit early on.
Joe Piscopo, and Eddie Money.
Joe Piscopo.
Or Eddie Murphy.
This will be a third or fourth video where we bring up Joe Piscopo. We haven't done him in a while. He played Frank Sinatra.
Right.
And
Not
Eddie
Paul
Murphy
McCartney.
played Stevie Wonder.
Right.
And the lyrics just cracked me up because you get to, I think it's something like, you're as, he says, I am black and you are white. And he goes, you're as blind as a bat and I have sight. I just love those lyrics.
And he's still alive. Stevie Wonder, right?
So is Joe Piscopo.
All right. Okay. Ray Charles died though.
Yeah.
He was another.
The other black blind piano player, yes. A lot older.
Yeah. We'll eventually get to Stevie Wonder because he's got some.
And we made. They used to make fun of him online because Stevie Wonder would wear the weirdest things.
Right.
And they would make fun of him, saying people would pick things out for him, and he had no idea what he's wearing. It just make him look ridiculous. You look great.
Was Elton John blind because he wore ridiculous outfits? Too.
Yeah, that's a different reason.
Okay. So we're not really going through the titles of the Wings albums because most of them are obscure. But I liked hearing all the songs from the past. I didn't realize they had so many hits. They had a lot of good hits when they were with the Wings. Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey. Apparently, those are real people. But I like that. I at least like that it's three separate sections of that song. If it was that slow section, the entire song.
No, it's because they got to the
Band on the Run, another one that has different three sections, right? And so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, he's in prison, and the whole thing about being in the four walls, we get out there, is about being under the thumb of their manager, and they couldn't wait to be released from the manager's contract or whatever. That's what they were.
I forget which song it was, but Linda McCartney also had a hit of her own while they were together.
Yeah, I saw she had an album. But they were making fun of her. He was teaching her like piano. She was on stage. You hit one key with one finger, and they're like making fun of her. She just playing with one finger. Well, sometimes she was playing what was called a mini moog, and you use one finger to play that. You have to press it to.
And so she died in 1998.
She had cancer.
Yes. She was older than Michael Jackson was when he died, so she did have that go for her.
Yeah, okay, so he's married now. He's been married 3 times. Between Linda McCartney,
Heather Mills.
Who was a model.
Is she dead?
She is still alive.
She's still
alive. She's doing a lot of things with. She made a company that like collects that has prosthetics. Because she got hit by a motorcycle.
That's right.
Going to an accident, the 3rd motorcycle motorcade. And she had to have her leg amputated up from the knee, and then they had to keep doing surgeries to make it shorter and shorter. So that's why she had to keep getting different prosthetics. She just kept collecting these old ones she couldn't use anymore. But she married him after the accident. After she lost her leg, she married Paul McCartney.
Okay.
She was on Dancing with the Stars. My wife and I watched it. We saw her. She put a prosthetic on. She danced.
How far did she?
She did not win. That's all you.
How far did she?
She didn't. She made it past the first couple weeks.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if she was there 4 or 5, something like that. But yeah, I think she still modeled even after she lost her leg. She modeled with a prosthetic.
Right.
Of course, they got divorced, and I think it was a bad divorce. And
as far as movies go.
Spies Like Us, we've talked about.
When he was with the Beatles, we'll talk about them next week.
Yeah.
But when he was with the Beatles, they made a bunch of movies together because they were goofballs. But he didn't make a movie until Give My Regards to Broad Street.
Did he write it? I think he wrote it.
He
produced it.
He might have, and
And Roger Ebert gave it 1 star.
I read the plot.
It got panned. They said it was plotless, characterless.
It was plotless because I think it was a dream. I read to the end when
Yeah.
you read the plot synopsis.
Of course, he gave Ringo Starr a part in it.
Yeah, Ringo Starr did. They separated after John Lennon died. The next album, Ringo Starr was the drummer on a few songs, so at least they were in good. And I heard John Lennon were on good terms on their last phone conversation.
Yeah. Which was that day, I think, that he died.
And then, okay, so movie-wise, I give my regards to Broad Street.
Yeah.
Sang for Spies Like Us, we covered that. He obviously did Live and Let Die, so 2 spy movies. One just being a comedy.
One's a comedy, yeah. James Bond kind of was a comedy.
Well, yeah, let's see,
comedic parts.
Roger Moore in it.
I mean, come on. Live and Let Die has the famous death scene of Yufet Kodo, who also, I believe, died a couple years ago.
Yes.
He blew up, and then when he went up to the air, it had the balloon sound where when you let out air from a balloon, it had that sound. I mean,
Okay, and did you know this? I did not know this at the time. When watching it, I knew Keith Richards was in Pirates of the Caribbean 4.
okay.
I did not know Paul McCartney was in the most recent one.
I think I knew that.
He was that pirate that was in jail, called Uncle Jack.
Yeah, I think I knew that.
And he comes over
because I saw that. I think once I saw the film, then I put it out of my mind.
You remember the joke?
No.
A skeleton goes into a bar and he orders a beer and a mop. That's the joke. And Johnny Depp goes, hilarious every time. Obviously, you heard it more than once. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. The songs he wasn't in a whole lot, so that's the movies.
Oh, yeah, last, of course.
Okay.
With Christmas, we, of course, talked about one for
Oh, yeah, he did have 2 Christmas songs.
2, what was the other one?
He was in the Band-Aid.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know it's Christmas time?
Yeah, but I don't consider that his. So, but Wonderful Christmas Time, which was not the Beatles, was his. There's that contender, Wonderful Christmas Time, or
Blue Christmas.
Blue Christmas. There's a third one where I'm
Pretty sure Blue Christmas is one.
No, John Lennon we're going to do. And he and Yoko Ono have
A Christmas.
the Christmas, No More Wars. That's a contender for worst Christmas song also.
That's because of the end of it when all the children.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't like that one either.
Okay, so there's a bunch of people that should not be doing Christmas songs.
That's true.
Anyways, those are not going to be in our top 10. But let's find out what is in our top 10.
Top 10.
All right, when we did Elvis, I went over statistics and forgot. You figure Elvis had a lot of records because he was a huge artist. Yeah. But obviously the Beatles are. Paul McCartney has the record for most #1 songs he wrote.
He's like the most prolific. He's got the biggest catalog pretty much out there.
Yeah. But I mean, he had the Beatles, he had the Wings, he had his own. Out of all of those groups, 32 #1 hits. So, and obviously Elvis, he had a lot of hits. He didn't write everything. Obviously, he did covers a lot. So,
I thought I heard Michael Jackson bought the Beatles catalog.
maybe.
I thought I read that he purchased the catalog. So
Yeah, I think Paul McCartney obviously is one of the richest musicians out there.
yeah, he's like up to $1 billion. I think
Something like
he's
that.
at.
Now
Did you know Wonderful Christmas Time?
Okay.
With royalties, because it's played every Christmas
Right.
throughout the entire country, probably UK too. Makes him $500,000 a year.
See,
royalties.
I
give him
will
$500,000.
never understand it. We said that about Mariah Carey's song. She gets like billions probably for her song every Christmas. But what about all these guys from the past? Do they get royalties? I mean, some of them are dead. But
Yeah.
Burl Ives, when Frosty the Snowman is written, does he get something
They
for
probably
that?
do. Well, it depends who owns the
Yeah.
copyright to the song. Probably.
Right. Okay. So, anyways, 32 #1 hits. Okay. Now I want to say this about obviously the Beatles, they broke up. Okay. All 4 of them had their own separate solo careers, which is why we're going through and doing all of them. And I don't think this is true about any other group. All 4 of them had #1 hits. Are there any other groups like that where the group separates and they all have #1 hits afterwards? I don't know, but this is the one group that has that when they get. Interestingly, once, even though McCartney's blamed for the breakup, he was the last person to actually have a hit on the charts. All three of the other guys had a hit on the chart first. So, which makes it like, why aren't they blamed? They had the first solo hit. Anyway, so.
Are you upset about this?
Yes! You quit blaming him for stuff he didn't do. Okay. Let's get to our our honorable mentions. You have one. I have two. Okay. Mine shouldn't be honorable mentions. Yours should. Now, the one is not on our list that you voted was This Girl Is Mine. The first Michael Jackson McCartney.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and I don't think it made our Michael Jackson list at all.
Okay.
Say did make it. I think that was our number 10 Michael Jackson song. So it's possibly higher onto this list. The two that I picked that didn't make it, one is No More Lonely Nights, which is weird because you picked it for our movie list.
Yeah.
But you didn't pick Spies Like Us, right? But
Right.
I think you did put Spies Like Us higher here.
Yeah, you're yelling at me. Changed my mind a little bit. Okay.
Okay. Now, did you know this? The guitar solo for that song was David Gilmour.
Yes, I did see that.
Okay, from Pink Floyd, in case you didn't know who that was from. The other song is Leatherman, which before I went through the listen to the songs, I forgot he did that one. Somebody's knocking on the door.
Yeah, when it goes da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, that always reminds me of a skit we saw when we watched Sesame Street way back when as young kids.
Really?
The elephant walking
okay.
always reminds me because I think they did something like a horn.
Yeah. See, how can you not
Or
like that?
well, maybe
Now,
it's the giraffe.
the
walking.
song
Wait.
starts with a doorbell. Do 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 do.
Yeah.
Do. All right, and then it starts the piano.
Well, not only that, at the end of the song, it does a fade out, and then it does the last two notes. Really loud.
Right. Yeah.
Also, the people the names, they're all real people.
Yeah, they are.
Phil and Don is the Everly brothers.
Yeah. Okay, so
I think he says Michael. That's his younger brother.
that song has a flute, right? Do 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 do, and a trombone solo. So they used a French horn in Al Crawford and a trombone here. Okay, so those are my two songs. Let them in. All right, number 10, the only song coming from Tug of War. And as we go through this, you'll realize that's why we would never buy that album, because it's the only song from that album. That's good. Tug of War was a number 1 hit. You have it at 11, I have it at 9, and that is Ebony and Ivory. And I suspect when we do Stevie Wonder, it'll be higher, because a lot of his stuff was funkadelic from the 70s. Just a different genre. Okay. Most of these songs come from the 70s, but that's probably not a surprise, right?
Not with him, though.
Okay. All right. Next one up, number 9, also a number 1 hit from London Town. I have this one at 12. You have it at 8. A little more obscure, With a Little Luck. But it was recognizable, just not as big a hit as I thought it was. Can't believe that one got up to number 1 either.
Well, it got up to number 1 with a little luck. I have this guy. There's this guy I work with. He has a shirt. You know, they got Lucky Charms.
Okay.
And he's got a shirt that says, "I don't need luck. I have charm."
Okay, next one up. Also a number 1 hit. It's from the Wings at the Speed of Sound. Let's see. You have it at 9. Is there a speed? What's the speed of sound? We know there's a speed of light. What's the speed of sound?
Yeah. It's
We
like,
got the sound barrier that you want to break.
it's like Mach
10.
10. No, it's Mach 3.
That was in Top Gun 2.
Mach 3, I think, is breaking the sound barrier.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
All right, you have it at 9. I have it at 5. And this is it. Forget the title, but it's a silly love song. Oh wait, that is the title.
Yeah, that is the title.
Silly love song.
Somebody says there's too many of them. People say. People say there's.
And he pretty much ends the song saying "I love you" several times.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one up. Did not get number 1. It was number 10. It was a live version. Actually, a few years back, it's the only song they were playing of his. You have it at 2. I have it at 10. Maybe I'm amazed.
Saturday Night Live did something, 10, 15 years ago. They, I don't know what it was, like maybe 30-year anniversary or something like that. It was at night. I don't think it was, maybe it was Saturday night, but it was like 8 o'clock. And Paul McCartney came on. So did Miley Cyrus did like Paul Simon's, the one with the names.
Right.
Get out of bed, Jack.
Like 100 Ways to Die.
Yeah, something like that. And but Paul McCartney played Maybe I'm Amazed
Okay.
on the show.
I used to think that he was saying, baby, I'm amazed.
Yeah, so did I when I first heard it.
And when you say maybe I'm amazed,
He's not sure.
Not sure. You know what? Maybe I'm amazed. Maybe I'm not. Okay, next one up. Number one song again from The Pipes of Peace. We already had this on the Michael Jackson list at number 6. I have it at 6, you have it at 5, and that is Say, Say, Say. Anything different we want to say about it this time around?
That song says it all. 3 times.
Okay,
Say.
who plays the harmonica solo? That's not Stevie Wonder, is it?
I don't know.
He plays harmonica, remember?
On Michael Jackson's song?
Well,
Maybe.
I don't think Michael Jackson plays harmonica.
No.
Okay. Although,
Paul McCartney might.
he plays a lot of instruments.
His very first instrument he played was the trumpet, but he didn't like it because he couldn't sing while playing it.
Oh, yeah.
So he traded it. His dad gave it to him. He traded it in for a guitar. I think his dad might have been passed away by then, though.
Okay. Next one up. Only went up to number 7. I have it at 3. You have it at 7. And it's on Band on the Run. Jet. If you're on a jet, if you're on a jet, are you still considered on the run? You're flying.
You can still be on the run. Yeah, you're leaving the country soon.
Right.
Because they don't have extradition.
Right.
The country you're going to.
Catch you another way, right?
Alright.
Okay, actually, I think the jet was their little black dog. And when you
He
When
says that, sometimes it says it's a pony.
I know. I don't know, but when something's black, you can say, "Oh, he's jet black," which is weird. I don't remember jet being the color black.
But yeah, me neither. Either they're white, they're an airline. If they're stealth plane, they're silver.
Or if it's Spirit, it's yellow. Like saying those colorful planes in the sky. Okay, next one up. Number 4 was a number 1 hit. So I think we got 6 number 1 hits on this list. And they had 9, so 3 of them didn't make it. Obviously, Uncle Albert, and then the 2 obscure songs. Another Day was one of them. I can't remember what the other one was. Oh, probably Leatherman, which you didn't like.
I like it, just it didn't make the list. The other songs I like better, that's all.
All right, fine. Okay, so number 4, coming from Venus and Mars. And then, of course, the cover shows 2 cue balls of different colors.
Yeah. So that song, Paul McCartney's telling the person to let him in. And you're
Right.
like, you let him in. What's wrong with your
Right.
legs here? They're
Right.
broken?
I like the. It's very demanding. Like, you're closer to the door.
Yeah.
Hey, do me a favor. Let him in. Does he talk to his wife?
Yeah. Hey, let him in. What's wrong with you?
She's over there cooking, and then he's on the couch doing nothing.
Ding dong, yeah. Honey, the door's bell rang.
Okay, so back number 4 from Venus and Mars. You have it at 3. I have it at 7. Listen to what the man said. So he's also giving command here.
Yeah.
Let him in and listen to what the man said. Question is, who's the man?
I think the song says who the man is.
I don't think.
Oh, no, you know what? It implied maybe it's God, is what I read.
Yeah, I
somewhere.
don't think it's the man.
I don't know
Because
because
the man upstairs. Actually, today they said you work for the man.
yeah.
Who's the man? The big guy.
Well, the big guy, the man upstairs. Tip my hat to him. Like,
Okay, so listen to what the man said was a number 1 hit. And number 3 is also a number 1 hit, the last number 1 on our list. That comes from Band on the Run. It's Band on the Run. Both of us have it at number 4. And what was I saying? I was saying you can tell early on when they got the Wings, you can tell they veered away from acoustic guitar like the Beatles are known for. Even though they were getting on to electric guitar, his solo efforts, you could tell, more electric guitar.
This is like, maybe I'm amazed where when this song would play on the radio, I always thought they said "Man on the Run."
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Why would a band be on the run?
Well, so wait. Okay, so when you watch the Beatles, I've seen a couple of the Beatles movies. Hand to Hold On To, or Hard to Hold. I can't remember. Which
I
one
watched. I think it was Help, where
Robert-
Ringo Starr goes away for a while now because he's got his feelings hurt or something.
Okay.
And it's one of the songs I remember in there is "And I Love Her." So whatever has something, I think it's Help.
Well, I think they have these this one movie, anyways, where wherever they go, they're being constantly chased by a flock of women. So they'd be a band on their own.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's what it implies. I don't know. But you look at the album cover, it looks like you're escaping from prison.
Yeah.
Okay, so that brings us to our 2 movies up top. Neither one was a #1 hit, but both of them are connected to a spy movie. Go figure. Okay, first one at #2 only went up to #7. It was their last top 10 hit. I mean, literally, 1985 is when they put it out, and he pretty much dropped off the charts after this. I have this as my favorite. It was my favorite on the movie chart list we had. You have it at 6, and it's Spies Like Us. Call it nostalgia because we went to the movie to see it.
Yeah.
And I did like, I liked finding out that he was left-handed, that he actually played every instrument. you know?
And I watched this movie a couple of months ago.
Right.
And I thought it was so dumb.
It doesn't hold up, I know. But it's like skits. The movie might suck, but there are various parts that are hilarious. So even though it's a dumb movie, it can have you laughing out loud.
Yeah.
Some movies today, they suck and you're not even smiling at the comedy. So at least they could do that. John Landis, who directed the movie, hated this song. Now it went up to #7, so a lot of people liked it. But John Landis, he hated the song, and he was going to say something, but he couldn't say it because it was Paul McCartney. What's he going to tell Paul McCartney? All right, that leads us to our #1 hit. You should have guessed it by now. It went up to #2. Pretty much the Wings' first hit, because the first 2 albums was either Paul McCartney by himself or him and Linda. So coming from Wild Thing, I think it was, or it might have been put on Wild Thing. It actually came out for the movie first. You have it as your #1. I have it as #2, and that is "Live and Let Die." And this
Redone by
redone.
Guns N' Roses.
That's what I was going to say. Obviously, it's acquired.
Which version?
It's an acquired taste.
I like Paul McCartney's
You
version.
have to acquire a Guns N' Roses taste to like their version. I mean, it's got some differences to it, but yeah, it doesn't compete. And what I like is, back when it was cool to see the songs during the James Bond opening credits, that makes it even better.
Oh, yeah.
Because that Maurice Binder, he knew how to make title credits
Yeah.
during a music song. Now they suck. You got Adele's song or Sam Smith's song. All the songs stink, so the opening credits are like bland now. So, my 2 cents. So that's our #1.
Yeah, I like the speaking of the Live and Let Die credits, just before the song, this is where they have the funeral procession.
Yes.
Just before the credits,
Right.
I think, where it's going around in like New Orleans or something,
And
the bayou, and it's just
It's
sad.
sad.
And the one guy's like, "Whose funeral is it?" And they're like, "Yours." And kill him. And as soon as they put him get him in the casket, then they're cheering.
Right. So yeah, and then that's when he led into the credits. Yeah, so that's one thing James Bond. If we ever get to James Bond movies, they knew how to have a good opening scene, and it bled right into a good opening credits song, and then it would open up with him getting his assignment.
Right.
So, anyways, that's our top
Next
10.
week, top 10 James Bond films. No, next week, the Beatles.
The Beatles.
Followed
by
John
John
Lennon.
Lennon. The only way Ringo Starr moves up the list is if he dies.
Oh yeah, okay. So it'll be the Beatles. So all together, his band. John Lennon, because John Lennon and Paul McCartney pretty much. Paul McCartney kind of became the leader, but they were like considered
Equal.
most of the time. And then George Harrison, who did a lot of the guitar parts, but Paul McCartney did play guitar on some of the songs.
Right.
And
He
then
even played drums on some.
Ringo Starr, and after that, we'll see if Pete Best had any good hits.
Who?
Pete Best.
Oh, was he the original drummer?
Yeah, that could have been a Beatle. It wasn't.
Just like Rush. John Rutsey was the drummer, and then he got booted.
I don't think Pete Best did any albums.
No,
so.
no. So, okay, next week, the Beatles.
Missed it by that much.
All right, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.